Fuck it. Welcome back, everyone, to episode something of the All Left. I don't know. We're not on our usual stream chat, so I can't look in the URL and see what
It's 86.
86.
Yeah, you see, I do a lot of prep before we go. Just so you know.
Hours and hours worth of preparation.
Yeah, this is a craft.
We are nothing if not dedicated.
Yeah, this is nothing about me just slapdash and drinking coffee after work bullshit. No.
Nope, none of that.
Never,
Of that.
Never. So we're doing a live show. I hope people show up. If my mom comes, we'll have 2 people. It'll be great.
Awesome.
We got the usual suspects. We got Matt and the Reverend Dr. K.
What's
everyone.
going on?
And joining us is, honestly, the favorite ship of all time, Jordan from the 805 Uncensored podcast, and Heather Schmidt from Up Schmidt Creek without a schmaddle. And Schmidt Talks.
What's up, everybody?
Oh, what's up, dorks from Glimmer and Chaos? What's up in the chat? First person.
All right, cherries popped.
There
Now
we
we're
go.
fucking superstars. Now we're
All
famous.
downhill from here, man. All downhill from here. Yeah.
So,
What's
I
been
mean,
going on?
I mean, there's nothing really to talk about. Everything's perfect, right?
Well, Joe Biden came out and called the right semi-fascist, and that pretty much was an end to fascism right there, right, everyone? We
You
can all
know
go home?
it.
Yep. Yeah. So, super leftist communist Joe Biden, came out and was just like, "Yep, the right's semi-fascist, and that sucks, and maybe we should all just come together and hug it out." And the next day, fascism was dead, and the Queen died.
Yep.
thanks, Obama.
You know, what we really should be focusing on, though, is the stage, not the threat of fascism.
Yeah.
The red, dark, evil dictator stage. That's what the central focus should be.
I didn't post this in our last podcast. Like, read the fucking room, Joe. Like, what was that though? He was just like, no, seriously, I want to go Sith Lord for this one. Like,
Yeah.
It looks like he was just watching the movie V for Vendetta for like a week straight. Was like, that's how I should look.
Yeah, he literally went to an intern. He's like, hey, what's meme bait?
Yeah.
We're like, all right, because like seriously, like he gave Ben Garrison a gift. Is all that was.
Oh God, Ben Garrison.
So, like, I don't know. The stage was stupid. But yeah, Joe Biden, he really did pull a good one because he managed to kind of do a magical thing, right? He managed to both make right-wingers super sad and accomplish nothing for leftist principles at the same time. And that's usually hard to do. But Joe Biden's really good at that. I mean, let's be fair. He came up and said nothing will fundamentally change. Yeah, nothing will fundamentally change. I'm going to put cops on every street corner in the fucking world. And somehow he's still triggering right-wingers.
And that's the thing. He's always going to trigger right-wingers no matter what.
Yeah.
So you might as well fucking appeal to the large majority of the Democratic base, which are legit leftists.
Which is super weird,
you'd
too,
think.
because he is a right-winger.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I really just didn't know, like, who. I mean, I felt like his whole thing was just appealing to his base, and that was it. Like, that's what the whole thing was intended for, And I think that I almost wonder if, like, the dark Brandon thing, like the whole setup with the red and shit, I almost wonder if that was just to try to get their attention, because otherwise none of them were listening. I mean, a lot of the channels didn't even cover it, like Fox, ABC, so I think that they were just, I felt like it was just a speech to his base, preaching to the choir ultimately. I didn't really see the point.
I don't know. There's already been Democrats who were like, semi-fascist. That's a bridge too far.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you limp dick half an insult and still be considered like the most divisive man of our times? It's absolute insanity.
No, he's the most progressive president we've ever had before. Didn't you know that?
Yes, he is simultaneously the most progressive, and also he's Hitler.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it was just super tone deaf, set up by someone who just had no idea. I don't think he had anything to do with it, to be quite honest.
And it's really weird that people calling him Hitler don't mind Hitler. Like, that's the really weird part to me, is like the people who are like, he's like Hitler, are like people who are like, well, he did have some good ideas. Like, these are the same people. The Venn diagram's
Yeah.
a perfect circle here. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get how the far right gets to like compare anyone to Hitler and think of it as an insult. Like, that's your bro. That's your bread and butter. Like, 1488, like that is literally like where the neo-fascist, well, it is neo-fascist, but also the neoliberal like movement in America comes from. It didn't ever go away. It's the same thing. It's part and parcel. It is the condemnation of women, the condemnation of of queer people, and the condemnation of the poor and the colored, and anyone who's disenfranchised, anybody who's not a wealthy landowning white male. We have nothing has changed since the 1750s in terms of power.
No, not even a little bit. You know what got me the most? And again, I don't know why I'm surprised. I keep expecting better from the Democratic Party. They keep being let down.
Well, that's where you fucked up.
Yeah, that was my
that's
first
your
mistake. But it's like, what is the right? One of the things the right is always great at is they get these fucking slogans and sayings and just hammer it. And not only does the right eat it up, but the centrists gobble up too. This idea that Joe Biden is this super left radical is pervasive to the point that even liberals are just like, yeah, he's just super left. Like, he's a little too left for me. And it's just like, this was the one opportunity he had to really give them that same energy back, because like everyone on the left was like, yeah, Joe, you're starting to get it. Go further, hammer it down. He could have been on news all week long, just being like, no, they're fucking fascists, and doubling down and tripling down on it. People like that rhetoric. They want more of it. And it was just like, nope, I said it once. And, you know, it was kind of ironic because everything behind me looked like I was the fascist. And so we're just going to leave it there, you know? And
Well, the weird thing is, like, I said this in the election, like, the Democrats will never do that. And it makes no sense, right? They will never go for broke when it would benefit them, because they're not leftists. They're not liberals even. Like, the Democratic Party isn't even a liberal party.
Nope.
It really isn't. Bernie Sanders is a liberal. Okay, that's an actual fucking liberal, is Bernie fucking Sanders. And they're like, oh, he's a far left socialist. No, he's a liberal. He's barely left of the center. And
centrist than anywhere else in the fucking world.
Yeah, he's a centrist in Europe. So like, I don't know, like expecting like him to push for anything. It's like, no, he's a fucking Democrat. He's a conservative, and that's the last election. They could have done the same thing. Like, I was saying, like, why isn't the DNC going for broke here, right? And they totally could have, because the vote blue no matter who crowd was going to vote blue no matter who, right? The boomers who were lifelong Democrats were going to vote for whoever the DNC told them to. They will be spoon-fed a candidate, and they will fucking vote for that person. End of story.
Every time.
But all the people who were protest voting Trump because they wanted Bernie or they wanted whoever, it doesn't matter. They were already going to protest away from Biden. So why not go fucking hardcore? Like, go to Cuba and bring Asada Shakur back, give her fucking clemency, and make her fucking run for president. Like, go hardcore. Yeah. Bring in some fucking socialists, bring in some fucking anarchists. Like, let's bring in some actual fucking leftists into the conversation. Because why not, right? Even if you didn't want to go that hard, bring Noam Chomsky in, whatever. Like, if you want to go milquetoast, like, you can find someone way far left of any of those people and bring them in, actual intellectuals who believe in leftist ideals. And then you actually would have had a coalition of the left and the liberals. And it actually would have been a power move. Like, if they actually cared about power, that's the kind of shit the DNC would do. Because the Republican Party is so Mein Kampf puppy-kicking evil, right? Because they're so fucking obviously Swazi jerking off to fascists. Everyone who isn't that is against them. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to unite the center and the left. And they didn't do it. And then you have to ask yourself, why didn't they do it? And it's a simple answer. Yeah. They don't care about power. They don't care about achieving people in office or a certain amount of political power, changing the country or ideals or platforms. They care about fucking money. The point is to keep themselves entrenched in the long term. This is a political party. They don't care about the next election. They care about the next 50 years. And to do that, you need to appease your corporate donors. You need to keep the prison company, the private prison industry going. You need to keep the military industrial complex going. You need to keep the private banks that are funding your entire party going. And to do that, you can't go too far off the rails. You still have to be part of a corporate capitalist greed machine. And the Republican Party is part of that. The Republican Party keeps the DNC in business, and vice fucking versa.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's why. And so I don't know. Like it seems weird to me that anyone's like, how come Joe Biden isn't going for broke? It's like, why would he? Why would he ever? Oh, he's getting back student loans. Like, this is the dude who made it illegal to declare bankruptcy on them.
Right.
Joe Biden is the reason we have this fucking debt. Yeah. He created the problem and didn't even resolve it. It's like, it'd be like if someone walked up to you, you ordered a nice dinner at a restaurant, they come, they took your plate away, and they're like, okay, here's a crouton. And you're like, oh my God, he gave you a crouton. Best guy ever. Like, that's what's going on here.
Yeah. And like that, what bothers me the most is already it's getting challenged. Like the right are challenging it left and right. Who knows when this is actually going to go? It's up in the air at this point because they could have plenty of legal challenges to it. The right could keep this bogged down in court for years if they want to. And it's just like, if we already knew this was going to happen, you already knew that, like, the right was always going to hate this. It didn't matter if he forgave 10.
Addendum here. The right can keep it bogged down in court if he does it the way he's choosing to want to do it. Joe Biden could executive order this shit.
Agreed. 100%. Yeah.
He refuses to do that.
Exactly. Because he doesn't really want to fix anything. This is kind of like what
I'm just saying it's an important caveat.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, there's no excuse for this. You can be like, well, we didn't want the right to, get really there. You could have forgiven 2 cents for everybody's student loan, and the right would still be acting the same way they're acting now.
Exactly.
They don't care. Like, so go for fucking broke, go all in, and actually please your base for once in your goddamn life.
Right. He did a measly 10K worth of cancellation, and his poll numbers shot up like crazy. It's almost like there's a correlation there.
Yeah. It's almost like when you do things to help people, they want to keep you in power. Weird.
Crazy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It blows me away though that like it's kind of like what Chris said. This is actually the croutons. Like, we're getting crumbs and we're acting as if we just got an 8-course meal. And we can't keep this up. Like that's the part of it too. It's like, we have got to get past this point of being happy for kitchen scraps. We really do. Exactly. Not even kitchen scraps.
Right. Matt, look at the stimulus checks. Americans were over the moon for $600, for $1,200.
Right.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Look at the rest of the world getting $2,000 a month, bare minimum.
Trump did more for COVID than Biden ever did.
Yes.
How fucking scary is that?
Me and Heather talk about this all the time. Yeah, it is getting worse.
Yeah. It's getting worse. It's getting a lot worse.
You and Heather talk when I'm not around. I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable.
All right, Chris.
No,
dude, I am 6'2" of walking FOMO. Don't you dare.
But the COVID, I mean, it's going to get so bad now. And it's just stunning to me that the one who defunded it was Joe Biden. Like, it's crazy. It's hard to really wrap my head around. And then every step that they go further, I mean, now they're talking about privatizing it and it being, only for people with insurance that are able to get things like tests and shit. And it's like,
I mean, the CDC is literally fucking genocidal at this point.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, I mean,
like, bro, Tuskegee experiments. Like, you think American medicine, governmental medicine?
Oh yeah, I'm only talking about COVID though.
And what's up, Thaddeus? I mean, but it's been that way since time. Again, it's so funny, right? How like the liberals really like to go after. I almost said Dick Cheney. Jesus Christ, the Southern gay Republican guy.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham. Absolutely, totally
Dick
heterosexual
Cheney?
Lindsey Graham. Totally not in the closet. Lindsey Graham. And no, it is not okay to make fun of gay people, nor is it okay to make fun of closeted people, but it is okay to make fun of closeted people who use their positions of power and privilege to fuck over the queer community. Fuck Lindsey Graham, he can eat a dick, only if he doesn't want to. So, next thing is, we like, the liberals like to nail Lindsey Graham to the cross, right? For saying, fucking, they're like, oh, well, if, with the whole Supreme Court thing where it's like, oh, well, if the next president, if Trump is leaving office, we'll hold him accountable. We won't put a justice up there. They did. And they're like, oh, see, Lindsey Graham's a fucking liar. And it's like Joe Biden, literally, you can look it up on YouTube right now, campaigned on the promise that, like, oh, no, if I'm president, I will give out all COVID vaccine information around the world. I will allow third world nations to make their own vaccines.
And it never happened.
By the way, people are like, oh, but it's private issue. No. The American citizens bought it. That was taxpayer funded. That is taxpayer funded vaccine. And no, couldn't do it. Couldn't give it away. So now, how many people in India, how many people in Africa have now died, in South America have died? Like, what's the fucking kill count on how many people Joe Biden has let die for his donor base? Like, I'm sorry. That I see no difference in Winston Churchill's fucking Indian famine during World War II than I do Joe Biden's refusing to release IP on COVID vaccines. He literally killed untold thousands of people.
I mean, yeah.
As always, we're in an echo chamber, so you're not going to get much argument on that. I think what blows me away, we've talked about this before on our podcast, is we all kind of knew Joe Biden wasn't going to be good. I don't think any of us expected him to be worse than Trump.
I did. I called it. Go back, listeners. Listen to the podcast. I said if Biden wins, it's going to be worse.
Yeah.
I called it.
It consists.
Need my tiny cup.
Well, I think for me, one of the biggest things that just blows me away, it's not that he's worse. It's that he's worse, and Democrats still think he is the most greatest progressive president on the fucking planet. It's made me lose. Like, I have lost so much respect for people that call themselves Democrats now, because they will simp for him left and right. And when you start pointing out all the horrible shit he's done and continues to do, the best they got is, well, he forgave student debt and let trans people back in the military. And I'm like, cool. And
the disturbing thing to me about it is that it's like they can't even accept it. Like, the other day I was talking to somebody about how when Biden had COVID, he, promised he would wear a mask for, 10 days or whatever after his wife had it, because it was a close contact. And then, like, the next day he, went to an event, was kissing babies and all of that shit, and not wearing the mask. And I commented on it, and they're like unable to even accept like that's real, like that really happened. And it's like, but wait a minute, it was on CNN or it was on the news, just like with the deaths of people that are vaccinated. It's like they're unable to even like accept it,
Once again, cognitive dissonance is a bitch.
Yeah.
And they will find any and every reason to just ignore anything they want to, for any reason.
Yeah, that's the thing that's so stunning to me, is just that they cannot accept facts in their face. And that's the exact same shit that the MAGA Trump people have done. Just unable to accept reality.
Well, and it's what blows me away. It's while they're doing that, they're literally looking at the Trumpers and going, what's wrong with you? Why can't you engage with reality? As they're over here talking about how great a president Biden is. We're just like, okay, if that's the way you guys want it, I mean, time to point out why you're an idiot too.
I don't know. I feel like if you could accept reality in society on its own terms, you wouldn't be a conservative.
Mm-hmm. The people that I actually argue with the most on social media are not right wingers, but they're
No.
blue
Yeah.
MAGA liberals.
Yeah, agreed. Glimmer and Chaos is mentioning QAnon has been ramping back up as well, and
Yeah.
she's not wrong, not wrong at all. Like it's scary, you know.
Yes.
I don't know what the path forward here is. I mean, going back to the fascism thing, I mean, I'm going to go to Webster's dictionary, like a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe and economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. Like the right has become textbook definition of what fascism is. But we've also got Democrats, and we've said this before on our podcast. I kind of want to get Jordan, you and Heather's take on this. Is can we really say that the Democrats as a party anymore are not fascist? If you're going to enable fascism, are you any different than a fascist? I mean, that is the question. I don't know that that's the case anymore. It's kind of like the same stance as like ACAB, you know. Are there good, decent cops out there? Probably. Do they choose to work in and enable a system that is horrible and oppressive? Yes. So I don't know that you can separate them from the system at that point. I think the same is true with Democrats, at least as far as the elected Democrats go. I think all of them are complicit.
I actually think the Democratic base is the most complicit in it all, because, you know, the thing that when I worked for the California Democratic Party, which was like 15, 16 years ago, their idea is fight fire with fire. And what was so disturbing to me watching Biden's, you know, dark Brandon speech or whatever that speech was I immediately thought, oh shit, there's going to be a lot of people in his base that think that the way to fight fascism is going to be a little fascist too. And sure enough, within a day or two, I start seeing all these people that I have known for a long time who are very involved in the Democratic Party, the California Democratic Party, and they're calling for things like censorship. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Now, you can't fight fascism with fascism. Like that's just not how it works, you know.
Right.
But I think a lot of them, and we see this with the Democrats all the time. They think that if they do what the Republicans do, what the GOP does, that they too will be as successful as them. And I just don't see how you can. But again, you get back to that dissonance. You know, they don't see what they're doing and what is going on in front of their face, because I guess you know, their guy said it, and that's all it boils down to. If your guy says it, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't actually think about that. Like, you actually make a really good point, Heather. Because I looked at his like weird, like, you know, fucking Sith moment up there, and I was like, why would you choose that? But you're absolutely right. Like, again, and that's kind of the appeal of fascism, right? Like, we talk about fascism. It has an appeal for a couple reasons. If you're in the in crowd, right? Because that's what fascism is who's the fucking in crowd, right?
Yeah.
And
the petty bourgeois.
Yeah, so exactly. It's the petty bourgeois. It is those who wish to be that upper crust who are the working class. And if you can pin all the problems on someone else, sure. The other thing that really appeals to fascists is the strongman. And that's what Trump was going for. Trump was never that, nor did he ever even try to present that. Like, that's the thing. Trump was always like, I'm really awesome and I'm super rich. Like, he literally just constantly touted his own wealth. That was kind of his claim to fame. That's kind of the thing he did, right? And so, like, he didn't actually tout himself as like, I am this super powerful buff dude who's gonna kill everyone. But then, like, once he got into power, his base really dragged on that. Like, you've seen him. How many times have you fucking seen that Trump flag where he's like standing on a tank and he's all super buff, or they completely, you know, they put his head on fucking Sylvester Stallone's fucking Rambo body and shit like that.
Remember when he fucking posted that?
Yeah, but that's what they want. Like, again, that's
Yeah,
what Putin goes
yeah.
for. Why do you think Putin
Yeah.
rides horses topless back when he was in shape?
Right.
Like,
I love
because
that
that's what he
strong
did.
man bullshit.
I am the strong man. I am this. But fascism relies on a strong man, right? It needs an other. So you need your Jews, your communists, your homosexuals, your people of color, your whatever, the goddamn Swedes, like whatever. Like you pick an other,
There
and
always
for the
has to
United
be an
States-
enemy.
Yeah,
Yep.
for the United States, it's Mexicans. That is our other.
Yeah.
It's Mexicans and it's Muslims. Those
Yep.
are our other, because it has been indigenous people and black people forever. Well, we killed all the indigenous people, and Joe Biden has done a great job of supporting the 3 strikes law and keeping all the people of color locked in prison. So now we got to have concentration camps for Mexican people. We still got to have our war on terror. It's been going on for how long? 20 fucking years. We've been doing this bullshit.
Yep.
And it requires a strong man. And so what's he doing? You're right. Dark Brandon is going for this, like, I'm going to appear strong so all the fucking liberals will think I'm great. And that's all he did. He literally just tried to be little Trump.
Yep.
And it's like,
Yeah.
how sad is that? Like, he was the answer to Trump and the Democrats put him up there to defeat him. And it's like, he literally replaced Trump and isn't even doing as good of a job.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you failing to actually be ethically and morally better than him, but you're failing to be as shitty as him too. Like, it's so weird when Donald Trump is the best option in every single one, because at least when Trump did this shit, it was ridiculous. Trump goes out and hugs a flag and everyone's like, holy fuck, what is wrong with this dude?
Yeah.
And like the world laughs, but it's like Biden does this shit and the world's like, oh yes, so good, so great. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad civility's back. Off to
Well, it inspired, governors, especially Democratic governors, to, do the opposite. Like Trump rips off his mask and does the anti-mask stuff during COVID. So what did the California, as an example, doubles down on? I mean, it's like it inspired them to do shit. Instead, now they're just like, oh, we're so proud of you, POTUS. And it's like, for what?
so brave.
For what?
Yeah, people really want to, like, I'm not trying to detract from the topic here, but people want to hear Chris go off on Britain. Chris, do you want to rant about Britain real quick? and why the Queen is awesome and everybody else needs to suck a dick?
Sure. So this is funny because this is what gets me kicked out of leftist circles, so I don't hate the Queen. So now, full disclosure, I'm only 2nd generation American. And so, like, my family going back not very far is mostly British. I mean, the other half is Roma Jew, but good chunk of my family is British as well. So I never had this like, oh, the Brits are weird. It was always like, oh, cool, the Queen. Queen Elizabeth was actually a pretty fucking neat figurehead in terms of a historical figure. And was she perfect? Fuck no. Do I think the crown is awesome? Fuck no. Monarchy's stupid. Monarchy is next to fascism is the worst fucking system of government possible, right? Like, to give a monarch divine right is dumb. And I think monarchies are stupid. I think royal lines are stupid. And I'm glad the age of monarchies is over. That being said, the British don't have a monarchy. They have descendants of people who they keep locked up in a fancy diamond cage and bring them out and parade them around for tourists. Like, the royals have not only no political power, the only way to get freedom is to leave. Like, you have to turn it all down. Like, they don't, they're in Buckingham Palace. They don't own that. You know that, right? Like, the royal family doesn't own the crown jewels. They don't own Buckingham Palace. They don't own any of the land. They don't own any of the stolen artifacts in the British Museum.
Yes,
all that was
great.
handed
Google
over.
the artifacts in the museum.
Yeah, and there's been some good ones of like, well, the Queen's dead. Like, everyone, go get your shit back from the British museums. But like, I don't know. It's like for me, it's like I look at Queen Elizabeth. It's like, oh, you mean the person who like literally came up like giving the palace over to refugees during World War II and like has existed over the greatest period of decolonization the Brits have ever had. Now, I don't give her credit for any of that. The Queen didn't fucking decolonize the British Empire. She didn't do shit. She sat on her ass and drank tea. Like, she didn't do a fucking thing to help that. She did nothing good. But she also didn't bad. And that's the funny thing I find is, like, there was a political group chat that, me and Matt that went into this yesterday, where it was like, I found this, it's kind of like Joe Biden, where it's like, oh, he's this stupid dumbass who's got Alzheimer's and he doesn't know what he's doing and all he does is pee himself. And also he's like Satan reincarnate and he's masterminding the whole world. And it's like, well, which one is it? Again,
Yeah, you got to pick a narrative.
it's the same trope that was like anti-Semitic. It's like, oh, the Jews are stupid and they breed like rats and they're vile vermin. Also, they control the whole fucking world and all the money systems. And it's like,
and
well,
their space
which one
lasers are
is
melting the ozone.
Yeah. How do you control the planet and have the Holocaust happen? Like, it's one or the other, dude. But like, it's the same with the Queen. This is just like, oh, the Queen's just foppish and she just eats money and sits on her ass and eats marmalade sandwiches and doesn't do anything. Also, she's responsible for the sins of the UK. And it's like, no, Parliament is. The Tories are. Like, there's people with names, addresses who you put in power who have done terrible, terrible things.
Well, I mean, it's like the right-wing approach to like Antifa, right? Like at one point they're a bunch of fucking pussies, they're weak, they don't do anything, but then they're this fucking monstrous force.
Yeah, and that's my thought is it's like, again, I'm not trying to like say the Queen of England was the greatest thing ever. I thought she was pretty dope only because of like the shit she lived through, the shit she did. And again, it's funny, every time, Britain has someone named Elizabeth on a throne, they turn out to actually be a badass, doesn't take a lot of shit. That's fine. She got super old and then didn't do anything. When she was young, she did a lot of cool shit. She actually didn't like Margaret Thatcher. That's funny. A lot of people give her credit like, oh shit. It's like, well, no. And of course she's a conservative. They live in wealth. But like they have no power. Like they're like the family from Arrested Development. They literally just sit around being idiots, not knowing what they're doing. Like that's it. And they get paraded around and they get brought to events and they have a bunch of charities they run. That's all they do. They do fucking charity work with not their money, other people's money. And they cut ribbons and they wear fancy hats. And they every once in a while the president shows up and they kiss his ass. And then they go back to their little fucking castle and drink their tea. But it's like they don't own any of it. They're like living rent-free in a sweet palace, and they make money for the country. Like, that's the other thing people forget. It's like, how many millions of dollars, like, how many billions are brought in from tourism to Buckingham Palace? Like, and without the monarchy, that decreases. Like, it's a net gain for the economy. Britain makes a shit ton of money off tourists who want to possibly get within 1 million miles of the Queen. That's what they fucking care about. And we're going to see the end of it. Now that she's gone, no one fucking likes Charles. Like, the British monarchy, it ended with Queen Elizabeth, and she was so popular because of World War II. Right? Like, that's why the British monarchy said that. But it's like, and again, and I'm ranting, but you wanted me to go on a rant. The other part is the English like her. Like, now, yes, again, we're going to talk about UK politics. Yeah, committed a whole bunch of war crimes and still do to this day in their own backyard. Ireland? Holy shit. Northern Ireland is the worst thing ever. It's literally a colony within a colony. It's crazy.
They lit off fireworks in Belfast the second the news broke that she died.
I'm sure.
Wow.
And I gotta tell you, I am fucking IRA all the way, dude. Like, the only Republicans I'll support are Irish. And I am all for Irish independence. I think the Irish should leave the UK, honestly.
Yep.
But let's not pretend they have no blood on their hands. You know who was refueling Nazi submarines in World War II? Ireland. So, like, let's be fair. No one is perfect. All these countries are colonizers. All of these countries have shitty histories and have done terrible things to each other. And to take several thousand years of awfulness and pin it on one old bitch who hung out and drunk tea in a house is the stupidest thing ever. And that's why I end up defending the Queen so much, because it's like, dude, Parliament is right there oppressing the shit out of people. Like, well, the British are the worst. Like, France is still collecting GDP from African nations, right? Like, France still literally has several countries they are currently enslaving in Africa and didn't let go of. Like, everyone does that. The United States has a torture prison in Cuba. So, and again, who do I blame? I blame the Senate. I blame Congress. And I blame Joe Biden. I don't blame a figurehead. That would be like me going after Joe Biden's dog. Like, no. What's his name? Patriot or Tank Boy or what's his name? Hunter? No, it's the son. What's Joe Biden's dog's name?
I think it's
I don't know. Biscuits.
No, it's got some super American name. His name's like
Commander.
French Fry Waffle House or something.
no,
Is it
it's
Commander, really?
I think it's
Yeah,
Commander.
Commander. That's it, Commander. It's something
gotta
fucking
Google
Team
it now.
America like. Yeah. So yeah, it is Commander. So it's like it'd be like blaming Commander. Like
It's
no.
Major.
Oh, Major. Sorry,
I think
my bad.
Commander's
Thank
dead. I
you,
think
Thaddeus.
Commander's the one that died.
Good God. We'll talk about sticking with the theme. All right. But like,
yeah,
again,
so that's a lot like fascism, right?
yeah. Hey, you wanted it.
I'm not complaining. I got
So
exactly
anyway,
what
that's
I
what
wanted.
it is. The royal family sucks. We should get rid of all royals. Monarchies are terrible. Queen Elizabeth II actually gave a shit about a couple things. None of them mattered, and she had zero power to do anything good or bad. I do not credit her for the good things that happened, nor do I blame her for the bad. She is the equivalent of a fancy dog with papers that you bring out at shows. That's all she is. She was a trophy for the nation's well-being, and that's all the royal family fucking is. And anybody cares about them makes no sense to me. I don't know why they're tabloid. But again, that's good for England. She's popular amongst the people. It is weird. Again, as Americans, we find it fucking odd. Or at least most of us do. Some Americans are fucking obsessed with that shit. But that's part of
Yeah.
that English national heritage, is they truly like the fucking royal family means something to us. And that's part of their heritage. And I'm not gonna say they shouldn't have it. Like, I think it's dumb. I don't know why any country keeps the fucking monarch line around. Mostly just for tourism, though. Like, if you go to fucking Greece or Spain, they actually still have their monarchs in like an old castle somewhere. And you can go and pay some money and go check out the castle. But that's the only reason they're kept there, is so that people show up and buy souvenirs.
I mean, I'll take that in exchange for free healthcare.
God, right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, just give me some fucking like everyone always just cries about the left trying to be so oppressive. Like, all I want is for the LGBTQ community to be fucking safe and free from harm and judgment. I want everyone to have fucking healthcare. I want everyone to have college paid for by the government. Like, I want to give taxes so that people are fucking taken care of. That's all I want.
Yeah,
Why
but there
can't I
might be a
get that?
queen, so no, it's terrible.
Jesus Christ. Oh man, like, why can't we have nice things, guys? Just want nice things. And then, like, what blows me away too is going back to this is like every once in a while we get a right winger that gets 10% of it, or not even 10%, 2% of it. And we've talked about this before. It's like when it finally,
moment.
yeah, like as soon as it happens to them, like one of the things I'm seeing now is all these pro-lifers that need fucking abortions that are having to fucking go through hell. Like, there was one in Texas that had to fly to like 2 states because I guess she had some pregnancy that she found out wasn't going to be viable. Like, the kid had no organs, and so it was either going to be born as a stillborn, or it was going to come out, live for a minute, and die. And if she kept the pregnancy, like, the risk to her was like severe, like she could die. And she's like, I get it now. And I'm just like, I don't, and this is something else I wanted to bring up. Cause like a lot of the leftists would take the positions like, no, like we need to support them. She needs an abortion. Like, this is our stance. And I'm just like, I am finding it at almost 40 years old. I don't have a fuck to give anymore. Like, you literally used what little political power you have to make sure this would fucking happen, and now are clutching your pearls and crying crocodile tears because you're suffering the consequences of the thing you wanted. I'm sorry, I don't have a fuck to give. There are other people that didn't want this shit to happen that are fucking dying because of you. Yeah. I wish you, and they can't go 2 states over to fucking get the goddamn abortion. They just have to die because you're a piece of shit who doesn't get it until it fucking happens to you because you don't have any fucking empathy.
Yeah, not going to be sad about the fucking Nazis
yeah.
end up in Auschwitz.
And you know what you're talking about, Chris? It's just like the tolerant left. Go talk to the liberals. I got no more room for that. I got no tolerance for the intolerant. Yeah.
South Carolina is making a 10-year-old have a baby.
That's pretty fucked.
Well, yeah, she's clearly too young and immature to have an abortion.
Yeah, yeah. Have we checked her grades yet? Or does she have good grades? Because if she doesn't have good grades, obviously she's not ready. She's not ready to have an abortion if she doesn't have good grades.
I heard Matt Gaetz spoke at a high school the other day or something like that. Like, he was around a huge group of minors. Like, what the fuck
was it a Tinder meetup or what?
You know, I'm gonna Google this real quick because this is crazy. But anyways, you guys can keep on talking. I'll bring it back.
No, while you're looking that up, I got a question. NC is going to flip soon. Are you saying North Carolina is going to flip blue?
Flip on.
This is in chat, so I'm just I'm curious, like, because I didn't know it was anywhere near being purple to even go blue.
Yeah, no, it's not. No.
No.
Okay.
No. North Carolina is part of that country known as Dumb Fuckistan. In the South.
And Thaddeus disagrees. And Thaddeus, you're okay. Like, I don't give you shit for having empathy for people that are horrible and deserve what they get. I'm at the point where I don't have it anymore. There are other people more deserving of my compassion than the people that voted themselves into a corner and have to suffer consequences for it.
I have empathy for people and animal. Fascists are neither. Like, I'm sorry, and this is not, again, this isn't calling people you disagree with a Nazi. No. This Roe v. Wade thing, this denying women the right to body autonomy, or men who have uteruses the right to body autonomy. No, that is gender fascism. That is exactly what that is, and it is intentional, and it is there to oppress and destroy human beings. And if you are being harmed by the things you have done to destroy and harm innocent people, no, I have no empathy for you whatsoever. In fact, I hope terrible things happen to you. Not even this. Like, I hope you get hit by fucking lightning. Like, the world would be better with your absence. I wish you death.
Yeah, and Thaddeus comes up with we fight for those people too, and you're not wrong. We do.
I don't.
Like
I don't fight for them. Fuck them.
Well,
Fuck them
here's
all.
the thing. The point I think he's getting at is, like, we're not sitting up here saying none of these rights for right wingers. We're championing the pro-choice.
I am.
Well,
I will jump on that fucking ledge. No rights for right wingers. Absolutely. I am sorry if you are going to be on the side of genocide and oppression. I don't believe you should have. If you're going to take away human rights, you don't deserve them. It's that fucking simple. You either believe in the right of autonomy for other human beings, or you don't. And if you don't, then I don't care about you. You're a plague on society. And
that's kind of.
I don't know about you. My grandpa fucking sailed a boat to Germany to go shoot those people. So I don't know why the fuck I need to advocate for their rights now.
Well, and that's just it. I won't. I advocate for the rights of everyone else, and that's kind of the point I'm getting at. Is like, if they happen to get access to abortions, okay, whatever. I don't care that they have access.
Yeah.
What I want is the people who don't have access and want it to have it.
And glimmering carrots. If you look at the comment here, right there. If you look at the comment, my mom has told me she'd shoot me between the eyes, so my empathy has limits. And I think that's where we get to. Like, the idea of empathy is a privileged stance. And again, this isn't like, I'm not trying to call out TD Gamer on this one, because I'm a cisgendered straight white male. Like, I sit on a mountain of privilege in a blue state. Like, dude, it does not get better from where I'm sitting. I am on the Mount Everest of privilege. Like, I got a hangnail a while back. Like, that's the limit of the oppression I live under. But
whoa, man, that's like slavery.
But the Irish, but seriously, like, what she's saying, like, my mom told me she'd shoot me between the eyes. My empathy has limits, and that's exactly what it comes down to, is having empathy for these people. No, they're ending lives. Like, these are people who want to bring lynch mobs into it. These are people who think that trans people should be raped to death in prison. Like, no. There is no empathy for them. Up against the fucking wall. Like, I'm sorry, you want to bring terror, death, rape, murder, and horror to innocent people. I don't want you on the planet. And I'm not going to have empathy. I'm not going to agree to disagree. No, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, you either live in a society or you don't. That's the social fucking contract.
Yep.
You live in a society with other human beings, and if you cannot treat them like human beings, you don't belong in the fucking society. GTFO. Go to North Korea or Iran, where people like you are tolerated.
Dude, I'm an anarchist, and I got into a heated debate with leftists the other day about, like, rules inside a commune. Like, basically, if you don't follow the fucking rules, if you treat people like shit, if you don't contribute, you get kicked the fuck out. I mean, of course, we're going to help people. We're going to give them food and supplies and give them a chance to come back into the commune. But at the same time, there are fucking guidelines to live by.
Yeah.
Well, and
they thought I was too extreme.
I mean, commune and community are from the same word. Like, that's how Latin works. Like, that's the basis of the language. It is a commune because it is communal, meaning community, meaning multiple people living together under a shared vision and goal for self-reliance. Like, yeah, that's how society works. And if you can't follow a fucking rule, then get the fuck out.
From each according to their ability to each according to their need.
Yeah.
Unless bedtimes make you sad, and then no. Like,
oh my god, this is stupid as fucking shit. I don't know if this is, like, too random right now, but I'd like to go back to the Matt Gaetz stuff because I found it.
Oh, hit me.
Yeah,
I'm always
let's
here to
hear
trash
this.
Matt Gaetz, dude.
Yeah,
Oh
fuck
my
that
God.
guy. You guys,
So-
wait, we're talking about Republican pedophile Matt Gaetz, right?
Yeah, Republican pedophile Matt Gaetz. Exactly, that's the one.
What,
Cool.
the one who pays for sex with 17-year-olds and traffics them across state lines, Matt
The one
Gaetz?
that's actively under investigation for sex trafficking. Yeah,
The one who
Yep.
uses Venmo for all his minor purchases?
Ugh.
right.
Oh,
So, despite the fact that Matt Gaetz is under investigation for sexual relations with sex trafficking an underage girl, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz thought it'd be a good idea to host an event with a bunch of high school students. So this week, Gaetz' office hosted its annual Academy Night, where high school students can learn about the process of applying to military academies. Yeah, so he went to a high school in Florida and just, talked about military academies in front of a bunch of minors as he's actively under investigation for sex trafficking. Fucking really cool. And I didn't hear shit about that in the media. By the way, I had to listen to that through a leftist YouTuber.
Wow.
Matt Gaetz doesn't understand any of the Leonardo DiCaprio memes.
Enter Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep.
You know, I actually haven't seen that yet.
Neither have I. No
I heard it's
interest.
really good.
I haven't seen it either.
I actually haven't either, but I'm just familiar with the memes, which is funny.
Yeah.
By the way, Heather, you got a shout out in chat from Jennifer Joanne.
Hey, Jen.
Screw Jennifer Joanne. She still owes me $10.
Oh my God. So, to your point about the social contract, I was thinking about something about an article I read. I don't know, like last year about Jeff Zients, who is he was a big Biden supporter. He donated a lot to his campaign. He managed his COVID response for a while, and he is so famous for quoting that the social contract in America is dead. And this is who Biden employed for the better part of the last year. And I feel like I wonder how many people, like, in the Democratic Party and even in the Republican Party, like, first of all, a lot of them don't even know what the social contract is, but how many of them, like, actually don't believe in that idea anymore, like that they're just going to live by the rules that they want to live by, and if you don't like it, well, fuck it.
Yeah, that's kind
And
of my
what is-
question. Is he saying the social contract is dead as in it's stupid and I don't believe in it? Or is he saying the social contract is dead as in Americans don't follow that policy anymore? Because if that's the one
Yeah.
base, then I agree. But because the social contract is good, but I would agree it actually is dead in this country. We literally couldn't convince half the country to wear a fucking piece of cloth over their
Yeah.
face when they went to the grocery store to not kill other people.
Yeah, and I think,
They wouldn't do
but
it.
I actually think that the context that he was saying it was that the government no longer has any responsibility to you, is what I think. And I mean, that opens up a whole other can of worms, is like, if the government doesn't believe that they owe anything to us, well, why would people follow any of the rules? I mean,
Neolibs get a neolibs.
Why do we have a
and
state?
and when and then or when you're talking about healthcare, like, the government doesn't believe that they owe you healthcare or protect. I mean, it opens up such a big issue, and when we're talking about fascism, it's like, how can you not look at those kinds of statements as fascist? I mean, you have to, in my view. And I honestly don't, Matt, I think you said this, like, at the beginning of this, but I honestly don't know where we go from here. I don't know what the solution is, because you have a bunch of people that are fascist to some degree, who also don't believe in, like, community values, who want to fight fascism with more fascism. Like, what is the solution there?
Right.
And this
There's
is where you
such
get
a-
into that. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead,
Jordan.
Matt. Okay, I was just
I was
gonna
gonna
say,
say,
there's
this is
such
where you get into
a
the.
large majority of the Democrats that's predisposed to authoritarian and fascistic policies. Like, and you can't get a rise of fascism in the country without a large percentage of Americans already agreeing with those policies.
Agreed. Well, I think with regards to your question, where do we go from here? And this is where the debate comes in. Are you a revolutionary or a reformist? Because there's really only two ways to do this. It's either, no, the leg isn't broken, it's just sprained, and if we nurse it back to health, we're going to be fine. Or, nope, the horse has got a broken leg and we got to shoot it and get a new horse.
Yeah.
There's no, and this is one of the things I've come to really believe in. The only way this gets fixed is with a violent revolution. And again, that can take on many different forms. I don't think, I know a lot of people get scared when they hear that, because the first thought is like, I don't want anything to happen to me. I don't want anything to happen to my family. I don't want my town to burn. I don't want any of this stuff to happen. At some point, you got to pick a side. Like,
I know where you live. In a revolution, your town's going to burn.
Oh, big time. Big time. But you know what? If it happens, I'm going to be the one setting fires, not the one getting burned. And that is, I think, the kind of mindset that we have to have. Because I don't know how, again, we have a system that is literally designed to not allow change from within to happen. Yeah. I mean, the example I always go to, and I know this is a hot button issue for a lot of leftists, but if you look at like AOC, there's a perfect example of somebody that's a progressive, which is left of liberal, who went into politics for all the right reason, and now is just as bad as every other politician. For Christ's sake, she's on the cover of fucking GQ magazine now.
I saw that. Yeah.
Like she is every bit a stereotypical politician that is playing the game as any one of them. At this point, she's no different than Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden, except that she has louder progressive rhetoric. Like that's the one thing you can give her, but rhetoric without action is meaningless. And that's the point where we've gotten. This system is designed to take politicians and people that have principles and want to make a difference, chew them up and spit them out and make more Pelosi's. Like that's what it's designed to do. And in a system like that, change from within is impossible. There's no, like, I think I mentioned this on one of our previous podcasts, but like the only thing I can think of would be a miracle where, like, we have an election cycle, and for whatever reason, every leftist comes out and every centrist and right winger stays home, and we get a bunch of fucking, actual leftists elected to office. And even then, I'm not sure that change would happen, because then the lobbyists would show up and start giving them money.
I actually want to address something in the comments here. So, Tutti Gamer writes, it's easier to say in some parts of the country than others. And I would say, sure, it's easier to do a lot of things in some parts of the country. Doesn't make it not real. And Glimmer and Chaos writes, agreed, you can't expect me, a 5'4" female, to go out toe-to-toe with 30 anti-abortion protesters. How am I supposed to revolution here? That's a valid complaint. But the revolution doesn't mean everyone picks up a stick. There is jobs for everyone in the revolution. The revolution needs people to go out there and fight Nazis. The revolution needs people to bandage people who are fighting Nazis. The revolution needs cooks, medics, people who can do things, people who can drive people places, people who can help form communities, people who can offer safe haven to people who are actually protecting others who are being oppressed. Like, there's a million things to do in the fucking revolution. And let me tell you something. Short women have played insane important roles in every leftist revolution. Go check out the revolutions in fucking Cuba and in Russia, and even in China. Like, there was a huge female component to Mao's revolution, ending feudalism, and it had nothing to do with being bigger than anybody else. Women play huge parts in revolution that is just rarely recorded and talked about.
Yep, agreed. Fidel Castro and Che get all the attention when women almost ran the show in the Cuban Revolution. Without women, that would have never fucking happened.
Who do you think ran the fucking freedom radio networks in Cuba? That wasn't men. Those were women doing that. But that's the thing. It's like, look at fucking Vietnam. Who do you think ran their propaganda base in the Viet Cong? It was women.
Yep.
What was her name? The one who's famous, go home GI. That, God, I can't, what was it? It was like Saigon Sally or something. I can't remember her name. but she was like famous. She's this insanely famous voice, and her entire job was to dishearten American troops. They would play very popular American music, stuff that was outlawed by the U.S. military because it was anti-war, and so all the soldiers would tune into it. And she would literally pop on every few hours and be like, "Hey, what's going on, Americans? By the way, your wife's at home fucking your friend. You might want to go home. Maybe you should take that gun and shoot your commanding officer. Come over here. We'll give you fucking rice, and we'll treat you decently if you actually surrender. Or maybe you should just go the fuck home. Maybe you shouldn't be here. Why are you here? You're killing babies for other people's money while your kids are getting spanked by some other man. Like, go home." Like, that's what her job was, and it was incredibly effective. Like, thank you, TD Gamer. Hanoi Hannah, that was her name.
Hell yeah.
I mean, you gotta the Russian Revolution that overthrew the czars. That happened on International Women's Day, and it was led by women.
Yeah.
Women are the ones who led the revolution in fucking Moscow. All the men were like, "Life sucks, drink vodka." And the woman's like, "There's no fucking bread. Let's go eat a bitch." And they got their shit together and throw her through the czar. The men joined the women later on in the revolution. So again, it's not about picking up a bat and being bigger than someone. There's a job for everyone. Some people need to be combatants, sure. Lots of people don't. People need to plan. People need to fix things. People need to fix people. They need to offer comfort, repair. Like, again, you can be a medic, be a medic. You can cook a dope ass pozole, do that. Like, whatever you can do. You got a case of bottled water you can bring and help people in the background. You want to wash shit out of someone's eyes? Awesome. Like, you don't need to fight. There's a million things you can do. Maybe someone needs someone to drive a fucking van to get a bunch of fucking comrades to the front line and get where they need to be. Do that. Like, I have now multiple times defended Planned Parenthoods here in LA. There's a whole lot of people who help us out who have nothing to do with black blocking or getting in the way of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of support. There's
If you ever imagined yourself in a zombie apocalypse scenario, and what would you do, and what would your friends do, and what same kind of concept. If you can do that, you can plan for a revolution. It's simple.
Yeah, it's fun to think of yourself as shooting zombies, but no, there's a million things to do.
Yep, absolutely. Which is why we have Chris.
And I think a lot of people, they kind of, a lot of people are asleep at the wheel, and
Right.
and they kind of think, oh, well, they can see that things are getting kind of bad, kind of tense in the US, or they can see, like, the articles and the polls that show the amount of domestic tension that we have in this country. But they kind of figure, like, oh, well, when that happens, I'll leave. I'll just go to Canada. I think a lot of people, they're going to have to start experiencing, like, trying to go to Canada and not being able to. I mean, it takes fucking years to become a Canadian citizen. People don't realize that. People think, oh, well, let's say Trump gets elected again in 2024. I'll just go to Canada. No, you very likely won't, or all the people that are disabled now due to COVID, they're going to find out that you cannot go to most countries if you're disabled, or people with student loans. They're not going to be able to go. They're not going to be able to just up and leave. And then they're going to be ready to bake a pozole or drive people, then they're going to be more in it. I just think now there's not a lot of people that are feeling it firsthand. You know what I mean? Just they're just asleep and just living their lives and thinking it won't ever happen. But I think it's getting to that point. Personally, especially after the Dark Brandon speech, because now the rhetoric is really hot. Whatever you think of that speech, people are not. It's very contentious. Yeah.
Well, and I talked about this before too, is everyone, like, if you talk to liberals and Democrats, like, they all think that now that Roe v. Wade's been overturned, the blue wave is coming. It's the same shit we've been hearing for fucking years. And I said this before,
Hype dream.
and I'll say it again. The blue wave ain't fucking happening. We're going to get this. Okay, the Dems are going to get the Senate. The Republicans are going to get the House. And guess what? It's the same shit we have now, but reversed. Like, nothing is going to change. Again, Biden's going to keep that one promise that he made for all of his donors, is nothing will fundamentally change. And that's what's going to happen. Like, there is nothing, like, again, we're talking about poll data and statistical analysis and things like that. So take it with a grain of salt, but everything I'm talking about, right-wing polls, left-wing polls, centrist polls, all of them are saying the same thing. Right gets the House, left gets the Senate, or Democrats get the Senate. Okay, so the Democrats are switching control of one branch of government for the other. Like, how does anything get better at that point? This idea that Roe v. Wade was a game changer is a pipe dream. And every time I see it on TikToks, Twitter, any kind of social media, I'm just like, what the fuck are we even talking about here? Where are you guys getting this? And it's like, it's this weird, like, we talk about being in an echo chamber here and a little bit, but that's the real echo chamber where no facts are getting it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like some big TikToker goes on a rant about how the Dems are about to fucking win, and everyone who's just desperate for it to be true shares it, and all these people in this weird bubble think it's true. And come November, there's going to be a lot of fucking miserable people wondering what the fuck happened, or otherwise trying to make it as if it was really a victory, because that's a thing that apparently Democrats are doing now.
They do it all the time. Everything's a victory lap.
Yeah,
and the Republicans do it too. Like, that thing is, they're two fucking sides of the same spin game. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can't wait for Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton ticket. And then when we don't support it, to be called sexist once again.
Oh my god, right? Like,
Right?
it's gonna be amazing when Liz Cheney runs Democrats. Like, you just don't want a woman. It's like,
I can't. I just.
we have so many women. I just don't want a right-wing woman. That's it. Like, it's true that I don't want a woman when she's right.
The one that lost to the worst president we've ever had besides, Reagan.
I'm just gonna say that you're right. I don't want a woman to be president. I don't want anyone to be president. Like,
we don't need one anymore.
No,
it's
They
outdated.
don't do anything. I mean, all he does now is campaign on the taxpayer dollar. Let's be real here. Like, these trips around the country to like talk about the infrastructure package, that's campaigning, and we are paying for that. Like, what I cannot wrap my head around is how so many people are okay with getting no fucking health care with our tax dollars, and then watching them take fucking trips to talk about an inflation reduction act that doesn't really reduce inflation.
God, like, talk about spin.
Yeah. Or where like we have to like fight for some people to get $10,000 that will also be taxed in a lot of states.
Right.
For 10 years, we'll get $18 minimum wage.
And everybody else can just fuck themselves, right? But we're like okay with all of the Christmas pomp and circumstance that our fucking tax dollars pay for. Like I'm okay. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with my taxes paying for a gingerbread White House that took 2 weeks to make. I mean, like, have some standards, you know?
Yeah.
And that is all the president is doing now, is making fucking gingerbread houses and going on victory tours and with our money, you know?
Shoveling it all into Ukraine.
Yeah, well, that too.
Meanwhile, state after state can't get fucking clean water here.
Yep, no clean water, no health care, but billions for Ukraine.
Pakistan's underwater. Haven't heard a fucking peep about it.
Oh, none at all, right?
Yeah.
Like, entire countries are just like, islands are disappearing, countries are just underwater. Yeah, we keep trying to forestall eventually, like, New York's just going to be fucking gone. Like,
yeah. Billions to Ukraine for humanitarian aid while Americans stand in line to get food.
Yep.
And the White House spends tens of thousands of dollars to make a gingerbread White House every Christmas. Like, something about this makes
you don't
no
understand.
sense.
Gas prices are coming down again, so everything's
all right.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the Queen's fault.
Yeah.
That's one of the funniest things about liberals, right? When gas prices are high, Joe Biden has nothing to do with gas prices. When gas prices are low, it's because of Joe Biden.
Right. Every single time. It was the same shit for Obama. Like, the right will always blame the left president when gas prices go up under them, and will always excuse the right wing president when they go up. And it's the same. Like, president has no effect on gas prices. But this is how. But this is what they want, because if we're focused on the president who doesn't have any power, nobody's going to start looking at the fucking bringing the guillotines out to freaking, BP and every oil company that's
Yeah.
actually causing this shit.
Why do you think we subsidize sports?
Yeah. Keep people distracted.
Keep
Yeah,
them
to
Took a
distract
page right
the
out of
masses.
the
Yeah, the Roman Empire knew this.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
was-
not a
that was-
new
that's
idea.
why they built the Colosseum.
Yeah, because they wanted people to forget that we're fucking starving.
What did I say?
Look at that
All
cool
these people
lion.
that are asleep. All these people asleep. They are asleep and they are at, the fucking Dodger game or whatever fucking UCLA football, whatever. They're asleep. You don't have to pay attention if you've got football in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Or new movies.
Well, I
Either
mean,
that or
there's
you're
that
already
quote-
privileged and
No,
the
you
average
have
American-
healthcare and don't give a shit about everyone else anyway. So you watch your sports and have your beer and your fucking hot dog,
Yeah.
and because you can afford $300 tickets. I don't know about you,
And-
but I fucking can't.
and just
Yeah.
drink enough beer on the weekends to subdue yourself. So all your free time, make sure that. So basically, that's how Americans are supposed to live now. Monday through Friday, get hopped up on enough fucking caffeine and nicotine to get through your workday, so you're a productive worker, and then drink a bunch of beer and hang out and sleep in on your weekends, so that you don't actually incite rebellion. That's
Yeah.
how the Egyptians built the fucking pyramids.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
Fair.
Terrence McKenna was onto a lot when he said that's why the state actively suppresses psychedelics, because psychedelics opens consciousness, allows you to ask questions about what the fuck is going on. Versus alcohol, you just drown yourself in that. You're like, yeah, I'm having fun, whatever. There's no
Yeah.
questions being asked.
And as
there.
someone
There's
who's and I'm not even pro psychedelic, right? Like, for instance, I did acid one time. I had a fucking terrible experience. It was a real bad fucking night. Don't ever want to do it again.
fair
I'm
enough. It
talking
is
to
not for everyone.
No. And here's the thing. It is not for everyone. A lot of people have amazing experience. A lot of people do some fucking mushrooms and talk to trees and have a dope time. That is great. Do it. Open your fucking mind up. But I don't believe, and again, this is personal, I don't believe that psychedelics actually open you up to anything. I believe that psychedelics, however, get you out of the monotony.
Yeah.
Because you are living in a structured environment where you're as a child, you were taught to sit down, shut the fuck up, do your goddamn arithmetic, and stand up and salute the flag. And do that every day until you're old enough to procreate. Then do that with a mortgage and then fucking die. That is the job you are told you are supposed to have. Go to school, get a job, make babies, die. That is the point. Oh, and incur debt. That is the entire point. And if you're out there doing things like psychedelics and stuff, like, you're not thinking that way, it changes your mindset. Any actual drug use really does. Like, that's the thing. It's like
Ecstasy. Oh,
yeah.
That was for 3 years, man. That was my drug of choice.
Yeah.
Fuck, that shit was good.
Drugs are either
Good
a way
times.
to oppress minority groups. Those
Yeah.
ones won't be ones that open up thought processes. But like, if you oppress drugs for two reasons: one, you don't want people actually thinking outside the box, and number two, you want to oppress minority groups who want the cheap drugs. I mean, that's the reason crack was invented by the CIA.
Well, and they're a threat to the pharmaceutical industry as well.
Absolutely.
Big time.
I
And
mean,
actually,
the
just so
same-
you know, sorry, go ahead, Heather.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say to Glimmer and Chaos, I actually don't enjoy marijuana either. I've done it several times. It puts me in a weird headspace I've never enjoyed. It's not
Really?
like I just can't enjoy it. It's
Oh man. No,
It
Yeah,
weirds
pot's
me
great.
out.
Because
yeah.
fucking
I know a lot of people
agree.
like it. Yeah,
Yep.
more power. Like, if you're into it, more power to you.
Pot's amazing.
And I know this is going to sound weird, like,
Fuck alcohol. No one ever got high and beat their wife.
and agree.
The only thing you kill is a pizza when you're stoned out of your mind.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Fucking-
blows me
I'm
away
destroying
too,
some
like that,
pizzas
like-
over their ears.
Like, people have like gotten drunk and like killed themselves, killed whole families.
Yeah.
Most people get high and they mix all the McNugget sauces together and want to be better friends. Like,
I'll murder the fuck out of a
So
pizza.
funny.
yeah.
But
But,
to
like,
your
it doesn't work for me. Sorry. Go ahead.
to your point about the drugs, opening your mind to these other, like a different way of life. Look at the backlash to work from home,
Yes.
right? And
Oh my
I am
God.
not
Yeah.
I am not I'm
Not
not a
propaganda.
Yeah, and I'm not, Jordan knows this. I'm not a fan of work from home because my husband works from home and he works at night and it's loud. So for us, it really doesn't work, but I can see how like it is so much better, like a better quality of life for so many people.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking of the
But
greater good. Wow, what a
yeah,
concept.
but the government doesn't like that. Not only because, as I see it, because of the economy, because if you're working in the office, you're going out for lunch and all of that downtown, and you're contributing to the corporate or the commercial real estate. But you're at home and you have more time to think, and you have more time to like do stuff for yourself, and you have more time to like read and pay attention if you're not commuting. And
Yep.
look at these unbelievable campaigns to get people back to the it's stunning to me the levels that they'll go to. I mean, they even make like TikToks to portray
Yes.
people that work from home as lazy and taking naps all day, all
Hmm.
to just perpetuate this narrative that everybody needs to get back to the office because you're taking naps
Yep.
on your lunch break. And it's like it's like, okay, but what if they're like reading a good book? Oh, well, we shouldn't have that. We don't want people to read good books because if they read good books, they might get ideas,
Hmm.
right?
Oh
And
yeah,
We've
I
that's
talked about this before on the podcast, specifically about the work from home, and I think there's a bit of differing opinion between the three of us as to why they want to push us back to the offices.
yeah,
I'm a proponent that yeah, I think it happens to be middle management is out of a job if because if they're not needed if there's no one to actually like manage.
yeah.
If
Well,
they're
I think
not
that's a
standing in
big
front of
factor.
you and
Yeah.
actually,
But
you
you see,
know,
I
but
think
all these
there's
factors
also an
point to the
old,
same thing, though.
yeah.
Like, I think all of you are right. Like, Kay is completely right. There is an entire level of middle management that has no job if there's no one to
Yeah.
manage. Because,
Yeah.
again, you
Yeah.
need lots of middle managers to manage a sales floor or a service floor or whatever.
Mhm.
You only need a handful of people to manage people if you're actually just simply managing by productivity, which
Yeah.
we have the ability to track anyone's productivity when they're working from home. And again, not every job can be done from home. We need janitors, we need fast food workers, we need doctors, we need lawyers. Like, we need things that can't be done over Zoom. But there's a whole bunch of people who can. But here's the problem with that. Number one, you can't watch them all day long. You can't control their entire lives. Okay. You can't employ white connected men to manage them. It definitely threatens the status quo. And again, the conservatives and the wealthy have an interest in the status quo. Any interruption, even if it doesn't directly affect your power and wealth and privilege, any threat to the status quo is a big problem for you, for the right, for the powerful, for the wealthy, for whatever. If you are at the top of the list, any change in any direction to the status quo is bad. It's why even when they go super far right, that has to be nipped before it gets too far. Because you have to maintain the status quo. That is what keeps people in power in power. And if you change the status quo, heads fucking roll. And if you let people just work from home and be happy, they might pursue jobs that make them happy,
Yeah.
not jobs that make you rich.
The
And so I think all of them factor into that thing. Is like, whoa, any change is bad. Fuck that.
Well, but
Except
there's
that-
also, I mean, look at what happened to me, Kay, during my paternity leave thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's also an element in there where it's just this obsolete, outdated way of thinking,
Yeah.
where there's this idea that's, and this is, I see a lot of this at the C-level management too, where there's this idea that if you're not sitting at the desk in an office specifically designated for everyone to be at, work isn't going to get done. And I've talked about this story before, but let me just, to the Cliff's Notes is COVID happened. We were all working from home. Biden got, elected. And so it was like back to work, fucking peasants. And so everyone started getting called back into the office. Well, I recently, we had another child. She was born in February. And I had told my boss, I'm like, look, I know we're going back into the office. I would prefer not to have like 2 to 3 months where I'm not there, losing what's been going on and having to spend a whole bunch of time catching back up when I get back. Why don't you guys just let me work from home instead of doing paternity leave? And you guys don't lose an employee for 2 to 3 months. I don't miss out on anything that's going on during that time. We all win. And she's like, okay, I'll take it to him. And like the next day, she's like, no, we're not going to let you do that. And I was just like, okay. So luckily, here in California, paternity leave is guaranteed. So I got like 3 months where I was just paid. I got paid leave. I took 2 of them. And so they lost me for 2 months. But here's the joke. Just before I left, COVID kicked back up and they sent everyone back to home to work.
Yeah.
And she tried to ask me, like, do you want it? And I'm like, no, you guys made your choice. I just spent the last month getting all of my shit cleared off so that I wouldn't have to worry about anything. Taking a leave. Bye. But it was like, go ahead. Sorry, Ken.
I was going to say the interesting thing to me is that all of the science says that people are more productive when they're at home, that they do their jobs better, and they're happier.
Yeah.
Yep. And tend to work longer hours because they're at home anyway.
That's my point. They work more, they do a better job, and they're happier. Plus, it is actually cheaper for the company. Jordan was making a good point in chat. Like, the part of it is this need to also justify corporate office building leases. It costs money to be in a building, and if they don't have a reason for that building to be leased, then there's not going to be a lease. Yeah. But what else could we be doing with these corporate buildings if everybody was back at their homes? Like, we'd figure something else out. No, of course, and that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. We would figure something else out to do with all these buildings. Trust me, anybody that owns them is going to figure something out. They're not going to go sit vacant for too long. But there's just no need for it. I work a job where I physically can't work from home. I go and I repair machinery for a living. There is no way for me to work remotely. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But for people like Matt, who his job is purely technical on a computer, and there is no reason, there is nothing that he can't do sitting in front of a keyboard, in front of a monitor at home, with a phone on his desk and a pair of headphones on his head. There's nothing he could do that he can't do at home that he could do at the office if they let him. So why not? Because he's going to actually be more productive. He's going to actually be happier. This is a win-win fucking situation. It costs them less. They get more out of you, and you're fucking happier. What's the big fucking deal?
Because it relinquishes their control. And,
they
have buildings they're renting, and
and if you look at like I mentioned my husband, and I have been chomping at the bit for him to go back to the office because he works literally in our bedroom overnight, so I sleep on the couch 2.5 years now. But his company, they expanded so much during COVID. They are saving so much money because they would have to build a whole new studio.
Yep.
If they brought all those people back to the office like this. And also it's, they're doing, he's an editor. And so there's a lot of equipment. And when I watch our electric bill go up, I'm like, wow, they're saving a lot of money. But at the same time, I've still seen ways that they're trying to get that control, like asking him to sign a contract to stick around, because if you don't have a contract, what are you doing with your free time? You're looking for another job, right? Or and I've read articles about Teams, how your boss can monitor you through Teams, right? And so they're trying to get that control however they can, as this, so-called battle between working from home. I don't even see it's a battle. It seems like a win for everyone.
Yeah, it's so stupid too, because again, you have metrics. If someone's not performing, then then you find a different person for the job. And it's no different than if they're working in the office. If someone's not performing, it's it makes no sense. Well, we need to watch you on camera and track your mouse movement. Who gives a shit? Did they accomplish the tasks that you wanted them to accomplish, that you have said, I will compensate you X amount of dollars for this much time or things accomplished? Then good. then what the fuck's your problem? You got what you wanted. You paid for labor. You received the rewards. You fucking greedy capitalist. Like, what is the deal?
Well, it's because they have a warped idea of what they're actually paying for. What
Yeah.
they're paying for is for the things that they ask you to get done by a certain time. What they think they're paying you for is your ass being in a seat for a certain amount of time. And those two things don't actually equate. Because I don't know about you, I've had jobs before where I literally was sitting around at my desk for, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours a day playing on my fucking phone because all my work was done. But I had to be in the office because I needed to repair the machinery. I needed to be available. They were paying for both in that case. But that's a very, like, that's not a normal concept. Most of the time, they pay for X amount of time. You go in and whatever you get done in that 8 hours or whatever your time frame is what you get done. And instead, what they should be asking is, here's what we want done today. However long it takes, great. If it takes you 4 fucking hours to do 8 hours worth of work, great. I heard a story. Sorry, let me tell this story real quick. So I heard a story about a guy who wrote a macro to collate a bunch of information every week for his job. And so he kept telling his job, or the company that he was working for, that it took him all week to do this work. But really, it took him about 4 hours on the Friday before to run the macro to collate all the data that he needed to do, and then he would just turn it in on Monday morning. Now, he never told them this until he was about to be fired, and then he took his fucking macro with him. And they never found out because the work was getting done. It was what they paid him to do. Who gives a shit how he did it? They were happy.
I think that the problem, which I only recently realized with the quiet quitting articles, is that
I've read a lot about
they
that.
want more. They want more than that. They want more than that job that you were hired to do. Like, you're hired to do the job and you get it done in 4 hours.
They want you to fucking work for free.
Yeah. They want you to actually do a lot of other people's jobs with that extra time and also work through your lunch. And
I hate that term though too. Quiet quitting. That's not quiet quitting. You're doing your fucking job.
Yeah.
Like, why are we calling it quiet quitting? It's so fucking stupid.
Because somebody coined the term.
Well, it's because it puts a negative connotation on the term so that people that only read the article title think people are being lazy when it's really that they're just doing their job. I mean, it's very carefully worded. I mean, it's propaganda, it's very
it is
carefully worded propaganda. And I think that probably boils into all of this too, which is that, you get your work done in 4 hours, but you're there and they have all these other employee shortages. So why don't you pick up some of that work too? Well, I mean, I know the reason why not to, but management doesn't, my thing just turned red.
Sorry, I hit a button.
That's Matt.
That was my fault. That was me.
No, it's okay.
My hand slipped on the mouse. That was my bad.
Fuck your job. Fuck your boss. They are capitalists, and they are the goddamn enemy. Don't ever forget that. Feel free to use their
do exactly
to
what
pay
you
your
get
bills
paid for
and survive. But they are not your friends. It is not a family. No. You are selling yourself for the means for survival. And remember that they are your oppressors.
And you are replaceable.
Always. Do exactly what you get paid for, no more or no less.
Yep. But that's about where we should cut it, because this has been an hour and a half podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always go long when we've got other people. It's almost like we like to talk to people or something. It's weird.
No, I hate talking to people. Fuck you guys.
Are you kidding me? We had Heather and Jordan. I've been edging all day.
Yeah. and for those of you listening, this is why we keep Kay in the dungeon. You old curmudgeon.
And yes, Glimmer. I'll be going back to the dungeon soon.
And again, also remember that solidarity matters. Like, just like Kay, I also can't do my job from home. I love my fucking job.
Yeah.
My job's amazing. I cannot do it from home. I still think everyone who can work
Yeah.
from home should be able to
Should.
work from home.
Absolutely should.
And this lack of class consciousness is the real fucking problem. Because people are like, oh, well, my student loans. Like, who gives? I mean, can you
Yeah.
seriously? Can you imagine, like,
Thanks,
like
Connor.
the cure for cancer arrives tomorrow? Not fair. My mom died from cancer,
Yeah.
so no one else gets to live.
Yeah, no one else
No,
gets to live.
I think of child labor.
Yeah, my kid
Thank
had
you,
to work, so
unions.
yours has to.
Yeah, my kid got black lung, so now your kid has to.
Yeah, it makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
It is a complete lack of empathy and especially a lack of class consciousness, which is, remember, that's what your oppressors want from you. They do not want class consciousness. They want to keep you divided from everything, from race to religion to neighborhoods to zip codes to football teams. They want you divided on every single issue. It's why we have two political parties that all believe the same thing.
Yep.
So do
Yes,
not
sir.
let that division happen. Stay together. Achieve class consciousness. Remember that every single person here who does not own the means of production is a fucking worker and a fucking human being. And you have a responsibility to take care of other human beings. So keep that in mind. And we will be back here next week. And until then, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And remember, the revolution is you.